Hi there. So here's the deal. I don't normally do this, and I feel bad for asking. And I know this may sound kind of weird, and I really don't want to be pushy. But could you maybe do something for me? Can you possibly find time to write a quick review for me on iTunes on how you like this podcast? It would really help me. What? No? I knew it. I wouldn't be surprised if this was your answer after my first attempt to ask you for a favor. Which, by the way, is a real request. But I can do better than this. So let me try again. I'd like to ask you for a favor. Will you take 5 minutes of your time to write a brief review for this podcast on iTunes? As a regular listener, your feedback is valuable to both me, so I can improve, and to others who are looking for a message like mine. Reviews help others find my podcast easier. It's what Apple uses to rank each podcast in the search results. Simply search for my podcast on iTunes on your computer, click on ratings and reviews, scroll to the bottom and leave a short comment. I would greatly appreciate your effort. So what is the difference between these two requests? The first request was uncertain, lacking confidence, and assumed I'm bugging you. And it was annoying, implying that I'm bothering you was actually bothering. I read it a few times, and if someone came to me like this, I wouldn't be very inclined to help out. But unfortunately, our requests for help often sound just like it, if we can even get ourselves to utter them at all. Because people don't like to ask for help. It's natural. It's not easy to ask for help. It shows weakness, lack of knowledge or resourcefulness, and we don't like to expose ourselves. So we spend way too much time thinking and worrying before finally getting the nerve to ask someone for a favor. To ask a favor is, in many ways, asking to be rejected. And we already talked about rejection. Look back at episode 240. We all try to avoid it like the plague. And asking for help raises the stakes pretty high that we could be rejected. So asking for help requires quite a bit of courage. But that's not a reason to not ask. Too often, we make things more difficult or uncomfortable for ourselves before simply asking for help. I am all in favor of figuring things out on my own. We should always start there. But if we spin our wheels, or we know right away that the problem is too big for one person, then let's not hesitate and rein in some assistance. Asking for favors from time to time is a good thing. People like to be asked. It shows you have confidence in their abilities. Great friendships start this way. Neighbors get to know each other better. And working relationships can be strengthened when you seek out help from your team. While you might be putting yourself on a limb with your request, I believe the chance is worth it. Many people pride themselves in the fact that they never ask anything of anyone. And to that I say, these people lack courage to put themselves out there. They are too afraid to get a no, so they rather not ask at all. Then there are others that dance around the bush, hoping you will guess what they need. I have a friend like that. Again, they're too afraid to ask, too scared to admit they really need the help. Both people can be challenging to deal with. There's often a lot of pride and very little tolerance for risk. Asking for help is reaching out. It can help build bridges with others, and it contributes to our understanding of one another. It helps us learn about others. The friend that never helps out might be worth reconsidering your friendship with that person. When you ask for help, ask clearly. My second request for an iTunes review is clear and direct. There's little hesitation in what I need and why I need it. So be direct. Don't let people guess what you need. This only creates distance and suspicion. And don't apologize. This makes people impatient and evokes feelings of guilt. Just be clear and ask, "I've got a favor to ask you." It demonstrates trust and it strengthens the bond between you. It also gives the other person a second to prepare. Often, people feel needed right away, and it puts them in the position to be more benevolent. Give a reason. Research has shown that humans are more likely to say yes to a request if a reason is given, even if the reason doesn't make much sense. People like to know why they're being asked to do something. I explained why a review on iTunes is so important, but without sounding apologetic. Just give the facts, not excuses. I shared that my request only takes 5 minutes. Make sure your time estimate is accurate. I remember taking surveys that promised to be only a couple of minutes. That may be true if you just select checkboxes, but most surveys ask for comments at the end, and typing a few well-thought-through comments takes longer than 2 minutes. Everyone's time is valuable, so asking for a favor should take that into consideration. And lastly, give a way out. Always offer the other person the opportunity to easily and graciously decline. "I understand if you're not comfortable," or "please don't feel obligated." This implies that you have a backup plan prepared up front, knowing that the other person might reject. The worst thing is to come across as desperate because their help is your only hope. Ask for a favor because you need it and because it will make a lot of things easier for you, but don't depend on it, because then we tend to make it personal and get upset with the person declining. This can ruin friendships. We have to accept that they might say no, because a favor that they aren't able to refuse isn't really a favor. It's an order or something else that the other person is being pushed into by way of guilt. In my scenario, this doesn't really apply since the livelihood of the podcast doesn't depend on your review. Plus, you don't have to comply. Nothing happens if you decide not to write a review. So I ended with an expression of gratitude if you decide to help me out. The main point is that you are respectful and considerate. Make your request as simple as possible and allow the other person to say yes or no, not based on other promises. Asking for a favor is always easier when you have a reputation of helping others. I try to build such a reputation by stepping up when I see my help would be useful, meaning I don't wait to be asked. When a friend is really sick, I offer myself to take them to the doctor or pick up their medicine from the pharmacy. If I know a friend is traveling during a time that I'm home, I tend to offer a ride to the airport, as I know it makes for much more comfortable travel when you don't have to deal with public transportation. At work, I do this by committing to take on certain issues that pop up, even if they don't fall under my responsibility. If I know how to resolve the issue and I'm not overloaded with work, I may as well take care of it. I find that people that are wary of reaching out to ask for help are also often hesitant in providing it. Both usually go hand in hand. Mentally, it's much easier to reconcile asking for help when you yourself have been helpful. So I encourage you, build up that favor bank and step up with small favors that you see might help someone out. This in turn will give you more confidence to ask for help next time that you need it. And lastly, let's not count favors. They are not something we want to keep track of. Saying things like, "You owe me," "I did this for you last time," or "I do this for you when you do that for me," or guilt trips such as, "You don't appreciate everything I do for you." When I hear these, they suck all the gratitude I feel for the other person. So let's not make anyone feel bad about asking for help. Only accept to help if you're truly ready. This may mean being okay if things don't go according to plan. The plane might be delayed, or there's traffic or a change in plans. When you say yes, say it with your heart and go along for the ride, no matter how long it takes. That's all, my friends. Asking a favor. So now, please go out and leave me that 5-star review on iTunes. With much gratitude. Until next time.